This is the video project for Dante's Inferno by Kevin Tao and Hari Pingali. We are in charge of the Ninth Circle, or the realm of traitors and those who commit treachery. Each round it has a different punishment for treachery against different groups of people.
Dante and Virgil approached the pit in the center of the Eighth Circle and encountered giants that had looked like towers from far away. They encounter many giants named Nimrod, Ephialtes, Breus, Titios, Typhon, and Antinous. All the titans except Antinous had committed sins against gods, Antinous being the only one that had not committed a sin against a god. Accepting Virgil's request, Antinous brings both Dante and Virgil down to the Ninth Circle of Hell, or the realm of traitors, named Cocytus. Here we see that it turns very cold.
Canto 31 historical figures. Nimrod speaks gibberish when they encounter Virgil and Dante. He was the first king of Babylon who built the Tower of Babel, a building meant to go to heaven. The other important historical figure we see is Antinous, the son of Neptune and Tellus, the earth. In battle, his strength grew every time he touched the earth and his mother, and he was thought to be invincible until Hercules killed him.
In Canto 32, Dante enters the first round of the Ninth Circle of Hell, Cana, in which the people have committed sins against their kin and family are punished. At first, Dante notices a vast frozen lake, Cocytus, around him, with only the heads of sinners sticking out of the ice. Here, Dante encounters two twins, Alessandro and Napoleone, who killed each other in a fight over inheritance. As Dante walks into the second round, Antenora, where people are punished for betraying their homeland, he accidentally steps on a head, but realizes it belongs to Bocca degli Alberti, an Italian traitor, and proceeds to furiously rip out his hair for committing treason against his country. At the end, Dante notices a head continuously gnawing on another head as he walks into the third round of hell. In the Canto 32, Dante includes many historical evidence to actual events and mythological events, as he recognizes the faces of heads trapped in the frozen lake Cocytus. For example, he mentions King Arthur, who killed his illegitimate son, Mordred, and Ficassia de Cancionelli, who murdered his uncle and his cousin for economic benefit. Also, Dante mentions Sassolo Mascheroni, who murdered his cousin for inheritance.
Canto 33. The sinner from the previous canto says he's Count Ugolino, and he is chewing on the head of Archbishop Ruggieri. In Pisa, the Archbishop had imprisoned Ugolino and his sons as traitors and denied food to them. Ugolino eventually ate the corpse of his sons from hunger. Later, Virgil and Dante head to the third ring, Palermo, which holds those who betrayed their guests. Souls are laying on the back in the frozen lake with their faces poking out. Dante then encounters the souls of Fra Alberigo and Branca de Ordia. Although these people have not died yet in the real world, their crime was so bad that their souls were sent to hell and devils occupied their living bodies. After leaving the shades, Virgil and Dante approach the fourth ring of the Ninth Circle, the very bottom of the pit.
Canto 33 historical figures. Major historical figures include Ugolino, the Count of Dorotico, and a member of the Guelph family della Gurardesca. In 1288, Ugolino appealed to Archbishop Ruggieri to get rid of Visconti and take command of the Piscan Guelphs. After success, the Guelphs still weakened, and Ruggieri saw this change as an opportunity to lock up both Ugolino and his sons and threw them in a prison and sealed them to starve to death. One other very important historical figure would be Friar Alberigo. He was a jovial friar. In 1284, his brother struck him, and 1 year later, he invited his brother and all of his brother's children to a banquet and eventually killed them all through assassination.
In Canto 34, Dante's journey through hell culminates into a meeting with Satan, a six-winged beast who is trapped at the bottom of the frozen lake Casitas. This occurs as Dante crosses into the final ring of the ninth circle for the treachery against benefactors. Also, Dante sees the three mouths of Satan, each eating Brutus and Cassius, the senators who murdered Julius Caesar, while Judas, the apostle who betrayed Jesus, is being clawed open in Satan's main mouth. Horrified, Dante climbs upon Virgil's back, and they begin to crawl down the beast's back. And at the end, gravity reverses, and Dante begins his journey through Purgatorio. Throughout his journey in the ninth circle, Dante expresses extreme disgust for treacherers and betrayers. As he states, he does not have harsh enough language to describe what he sees, and describes the people stuck in the frozen lake as 1,000 mongrel faces bitten by frost, and especially hates those who have betrayed the Italian state, his homeland. For example, in Canto 32, Dante realizes a hand belongs to Bocca degli Alberti, who betrayed the Italian army in the Battle of Monteperti, and Dante begins to furiously rip out his hair. In Canto 33, Dante expresses his dislike for the cities Thebes and Pisa, which are known for their horrible corruption and crimes against the state. Also in Canto 33, Dante notices a head with frozen eyes, as its frozen tears covered his eyes, and Dante promises to free his eyes of their frozen tears, but realizes it to be Friar Alberica, another Italian traitor, and breaks his promise. Finally, in Canto 34, Dante expresses his imperial sentiments as Brutus and Cassius are in the final round of hell, as Dante viewed Julius Caesar as the glory of the Roman Empire. Also, as a Christian, Dante gives Judas, who betrays Jesus, the worst punishment of all, being eaten and clawed by Satan.
The connection to the real world has been seen by the view of hell. The view of hell in Dante's Inferno is opposite of how present-day people would view it. In Dante's version, hell is a cold and icy place, whereas people today view hell as a burning pit of fire. Another connection we can make is the view of Satan. For present-day people, we believe that Satan only has one head, while in Dante's Inferno, we see him portrayed with three heads of different colors.
Throughout his journey in the ninth circle of hell, Dante uses lyrical style to effectively portray the atmosphere and tone of the cantos. For example, in Canto 31, with a comical style in his encounter with the giants, Dante uses rhymes such as poco and fioco, and lancia and mancia, whereas in Canto 32, where he sees the treacherous betrayers of the Italian state, he uses harsher rhymes such as chioco and rocho, and gabo and babo.
Punishment for the ninth circle. In the first round, all the sinners have their neck and heads out of the ice and are permitted to bow their head. This punishment is the least severe of all the other rounds, and people are able to move and think about what they have done. In the second circle, we see Ugolino eating Archbishop's hair. This fits the punishment because Archbishop had locked Ugolino and his sons away and starved them to death. In circle 3, we see people lie with only half of their face above the ice, and tears freeze in their eye sockets. Not only can they weep for what they have done, but they also must think at all times about the sins that they have committed. In circle 4, they lie completely sealed in the ice. These people cannot move at all and must only think about their sins.
Dante repeatedly alludes to other works of art, the Bible, and historical events throughout his journey in the ninth circle. In Canto 31, as Dante and Virgil enter the realm of the giants, they are greeted by a trumpet blast from Nimrod, and a trumpet also announces the last judgment according to the Bible. However, Dante uses antithesis to show the complete contrast between the two events, as there is no divine power in the last circle. Also, Dante recognizes the Greek stories of the giants, who are demigods that rebel against the gods and fight against them. In Canto 32, Dante refers to the Greek muses and fates and their ability to control destiny. He also refers to the Bible notion of the separation of sheep and goats on Judgment Day to symbolize the divergence between the lyrical and inspirational muses and the corruption and treachery of cities in Greece, such as Thebes. In his encounter with Count Ugolino, Dante alludes to the Bible verse, "Why hast thou forsaken me?" in the telling of Ugolino's story, where he and his starving children are locked up in a tower, with his children crying, "Why don't you help me?" In the final scene in Canto 34, Dante expresses a sharp understanding for basic physics. As they cross into the other half of the world, the gravity reverses. Also, Dante begins the canto with Vixia Regis Prodient Inferni, which means the battle standards of hell advance, which acts as another antithesis of a hymn of the Holy Week before his Easter, the battle standards of the king advance. Also, Dante's depiction of Satan acts as a backwards version of the Holy Trinity of Christianity. With 3 heads and sentenced to an eternity in frozen, still, and absent of life, ice, the beast represents the opposite of goodness. However, Dante ends Inferno with hope as he begins to see stars in the transition to Purgatorio.